if you can see them and name them, they are not the real controllers. The people really in control do not put themselves on public display where they can be targeted. They're what I call the shadow people. They operate in the backgrounds. These people who are put forward to run for office are selected by this shadowy group that calls itself the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, illuminated into knowledge that the rest of the people don't get. A network of secret societies and interbreeding families. If you look at the families that control the transnational corporations, that control the pharmaceutical cartel, that control the oil cartel, they're the kind of families that you're looking at. Where they want to take us is into a centralized Orwellian global state with a world government dictating to every country in the world, a world army imposing the will of the world government, a world central bank and a world currency controlling finance, and a microchip population connected to a global computer.
Every 4 years, we are given two choices. We are asked to go to the voting booth and cast our vote for either of these choices. Let's think about this further. You are given two choices. But who gives you these two choices? Are these two choices the result of your own personal decisions? Are the caucuses and primaries truly empowering to you? The truth is that they are not. In all cases, you have no say in which politician is ultimately selected as a presidential candidate. In the end, you are simply allowed to choose between the candidates given to you. You have no power. Therefore, someone or some group gives you two choices that they arbitrarily choose, and you must then choose between the two choices. Your power is limited. Your ability to exercise your own free will is greatly limited. In a sense, you are controlled and therefore possessed by a political system that is designed to limit your power.
One of the things I think that's difficult to figure out from the political side of this thing, it's clear that they're making a lot of mistakes. And the question in my mind is, are these mistakes? And these guys have to face election. Now, when the next election rolls around, they're not going to be politically popular figures. There are going to be consequences for the politicians. So what makes them push the wrong button?
How does the general population develop their understanding of the candidates given to them? The scam is simple but effective. The two candidates are placed on television and in media and presented as opposing forces through which the general population develops its understandings of the candidates. As a side effect, the general population becomes divided based upon false party lines, i.e. false differences between the two candidates.
Both the Republican and Democratic parties are owned by the same global elites. And on issues that matter to those global elites, they act as one. The question is, who should government serve? And it should serve the people.
Haven't you noticed that they promise the same things every 4 years? And yet, nothing ever gets better. Things only get worse. Why? Because this is by design.
Those were the benefits of a global architecture forged over many years by American leaders from both political parties.
Your vote does not count.
Well, sometimes it's just like you're kind of voting for the best of the worst. So even though, you know, they're all liars or they could all be bad, at least this guy, he might be better than the rest.
When I went into political reporting 20, 15 years ago, I thought that MPs went in to serve the public good. The core thing which happened in the House of Commons was not opposition, but collusion. The MPs of rival parties have far more in common with each other than they have in common with ordinary members of the public. That in fact they are, to a large extent, engaged in a conspiracy against the public. I'll give you an example. When Jackie Smith was caught up in her expenses controversy a few weeks ago, which looked very odd to ordinary members of the public, when she went into Home Office questions, and the Home Secretary took questions, there wasn't a single question from the Tory opposition or from the Liberal Democrats about her very peculiar expenses arrangements. And that is because attacking either party on expenses issues is like using an area weapon, i.e. it's going to destroy or kill off personnel on both sides. Labour now no longer would attack a Tory who's bent because there's too much at stake.
Now, one of the things the Masons do is take an oath to protect their Masonic brothers. And this has been very convenient for Masonic politicians throughout the decades. From Ronayne's Handbook of Masonry, page 183, we have the oath, the statement of belief of Masons. It says, you must conceal all crimes of your brother Masons. And should you be summoned as a witness against a brother Mason, be always sure to shield him. It may be perjury to do this, says the Masonic Guide. It is true, but you're keeping your obligations.
On West Eye View tonight, we go behind the bricked-up windows of the Masonic temples to reveal the secrets of the craft.
You can't talk about this country without bringing up Freemasonry. I used to say, you can't talk about politics unless you talk about the Council on Foreign Relations. Forget the Council on Foreign Relations. The Council on Foreign Relations is the hierarchy of international Freemasonry. That's all it is. CFR came out of the Royal International Institute, formed by who? Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes was a Mason. The ultimate and final objective is by means of a world revolution to establish the dictatorship of the so-called proletariat into one world union. In other words, what George Bush described as the New World Order. Now, this is the way it goes. You accumulate people in the Congress, you accumulate people in the executive branch who all have the same way of thinking. They rewrite the rule book. And this has been done in country after country after country. These people who we don't see, these people who get into government, these people who twist and change our laws and look like us are not like us at all. And not only that, they do not support, in this country we have a constitution. I wouldn't really mind so much if they supported that. No, it's not a monarchy. Yes, it was a republic. Yes, it's a Masonic republic, but we still have a constitution. Had. But you see, the people who run this government and the people who run both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, as a matter of fact, the people who created the Republican Party are members of the Masonic Lodge. Did you know that? I have a book called 10,000 Freemasons, and in that book they give the names of the people who started the Republican Party. And when you start going through the names of the who's who, Bob Dole, George Bush, Ross Perot, they're all members of the Masonic Lodge. Now, what's the big deal about that? The big deal about that, one of the big deals, actually it turns up being a little deal, but it's still a pretty big deal, is that when you join the lodge, you take an oath. It's a sacred oath. You know why you know it's a sacred oath? It's because it never comes out what the oath is. If it wasn't sacred, everybody would know. It wouldn't mean anything, would it? You say to a Mason, you say, you took an oath to support the Constitution of Freemasonry, even if it's opposed to the Constitution of the United States of America. Didn't you? Oh, no, I never do that. Never took any oaths. Well, you see, Masons have taken oaths to lie to you. Now, what kind of honesty are you going to get out of a man who's taken an oath to lie? Hello? Not long ago we met a 32nd degree Mason and he told us he didn't take any oath. Okay, so you lie. In the first degree, they say, I, Congressman, of my own free will and accord in presence of Almighty God in this worshipful lodge of free and accepted Masons dedicated to God and held forth to the Holy Order of St. John, do hereby and herein most solemnly and sincerely promise and swear I will always hail, ever conceal, and never reveal any part or parts, art or arts, point or points of the secret arts and mysteries of ancient Freemasonry which I have received, am about to receive, or may hereafter be instructed in. To any person or persons in the known world, except it be to a true and lawful brother Mason, or within the body of a just and lawfully constituted lodge of such. Not my father, not my mother, not my sister, not my brother, not my daughter, not my son, not my dog, unless he's a member of the lodge. In the third degree, the Mason promises, he says, further do I promise and swear I will obey all regular signs, summonses, or tokens given, handed, sent, or thrown to me from the hand of a brother Master Mason. Furthermore, do I promise and swear that a Master Mason's secrets given to me in charge as such, and I knowing them to be such, shall remain as secure and inviolable in my breast as in his own. When communicated to me, murder and treason accepted, and even they left to my election. You wonder why these congressmen run around with their pants down, then pull their pants up and protect this one and protect that one and hide this guy away, give this one his retirement fund, get him out. It's always going to be a cover. These guys have taken an oath to cover. There is no Republican Party, there is no Democratic Party, there never was a party except for the Masonic Party. In the seventh degree, he says, the oath, I promise and swear I will not wrong this chapter of Royal Arch Masons. Later on, I further promise and swear I will not speak evil of a companion Royal Arch Mason behind his back nor before his face, but will apprise him of all approaching danger. And you'd better do it. You'd better do it. Because if you don't, you have taken an oath also, to all which I do most solemnly and sincerely promise and swear with a firm and steadfast resolution to keep and perform the same without any equivocation, mental reservation, or self-evasion of mind in me whatever, binding myself under no less penalty than have my skull smote off and my brains exposed to the scorching rays of the meridian sun, should I knowingly or willfully violate or transgress any part of this my solemn oath or obligation of a Royal Arch Mason. So help me God, what God is not our God, and keep me steadfast in the due performance of the same. You know, it's mind-boggling to me that these guys can come up to anybody and say, I am a Christian. How can you promise to lie? How can you promise to protect another individual, whether he's lying, whether he's cheated, whether he's treasonous? How can you make these promises and call yourself a man of God? It's an absolute impossibility.
What can we do? 1. Citizens should gather in every town and elect the best representatives. They should have educational and working experiences from all fields necessary to govern a country. They should under oath declare that they are not members of any secret society. 2. The representatives should create a political party of not left or right ideology, but that of the common sense. 3. Use all means necessary to spread the word. 4. Don't cooperate with existing Masonic governments.